Okay, welcome back, everybody. Now we're going to dig into the first portion of coaching and retention, which we like to call the closing map. Okay, and before we dig into the closing map, it's composed of three pieces. The first is in welcoming them. The second is privately discussing with them. And third is in showcasing your knowledge. We're going to dig into what that looks like. But before we get into those pieces, I just want you guys to start to wrap your mind around the fact that in selling a potential client, your goal is to solve that potential client's problem. Okay, find a way that your gym is the solution to their problem, because if you can convince a client that you truly have what they need to solve that problem, 9 times out of 10 they're going to pay whatever price you're asking for, and on the spot. So just get into the mindset of, I need to figure out what this client's issue is, what problem they have, and how my gym is the solution to that. And if you sell to that, 9 times out of 10, you've got yourself a new client. Okay, so this 3-step process: number 1, welcoming them; 2, privately discussing; and 3, showcasing your knowledge. Those are the steps that we're going to run through. Let's start with number 1. So number 1 is welcoming them. I know it sounds extremely simple, but what you want to make sure that you're doing when a client walks into your gym is that you're making them feel welcome straight away. Right? You want to have extremely high energy, you want to be confident, and you want to show enthusiasm that they're there. Now, obviously, there kind of comes a point where this can be over the top, but always err on the side of, energy is better than no energy. So show them that you're excited they're there, but try not to be fake. Try not to be over the top with it. Now, you can't go wrong assuming that each client that's coming in is walking in with some sort of barrier that they've put up, both physically and mentally, that you guys are going to have to overcome. So breaking the physical contact barrier generally puts the client at ease. So when you welcome them, make sure you shake their hand, you give them a pat on the shoulder, something where you touch them and let them know, hey, it's okay. And you can ask some icebreaker questions from there. Things like, what brings you in today? Are you here to try things out today? Which of our offerings have you heard of? Which offer did you come in for? Etc. Right? Really ask them to open up and give you some ideas as to what really brought them in there today. So kind of covering those topics, I want you guys now to write down where and how you're going to do those things. Okay, do you have a welcoming area? Do you have a front area? If not, you should set that up immediately. And it doesn't have to be over the top. You don't have to go and buy a bunch of couches or anything to fill out your front area. It could even be just a couple fold-out chairs with maybe an indoor plant right next to you guys. It doesn't have to be super fancy, but you do have to have some sort of welcome area where the potential clients can hang out and make themselves comfortable while you're potentially still coaching, or they're waiting for somebody to help them, right? So think that through. What does that area look like for you guys? Because what you don't want to do is have them wandering through, let's say, a giant roll-up door on the side of the building and just wandering into the middle of a class or walking straight into the gym setting. You want to have something that's kind of off to the side where you can really sit down with them and then kind of have this discussion and properly welcome them to the facility. So make sure that you have that area, and start thinking through some of those questions that you're going to, ask them. Are you going to ask them what brings you in today? More of an open-ended question. Are you going to ask them what offer specifically they chose to come in on, right? Or are you going to ask them how they heard about your gym? Ask them specific questions, but have a reason behind each question and why you're asking that. Your questions should lead to a greater understanding of why they're there and pushing them closer towards opening up about the problem that they're having and why they're truly at your gym, right? Because that leads us to number 2, which is privately discussing their reasons for checking out your gym or accepting the offer that they saw online. So this is your opportunity really to hone in on the specifics of what they tell you. And I want you guys to get really, really good at listening, because each potential client will have a really specific reason why they came into the gym. And it's your job at that point to find out that specific reason and build a plan on how your gym is the best fit for that reason. So again, thinking back to what I told you guys right at the beginning, right? Everybody has that specific problem. This is the portion where you sit down and you listen to what that specific problem is, and you start to formulate a plan around how your gym is the fit to that problem. So discuss deeper meanings behind what they're telling you. If somebody tells you, hey, I want to lose 30 pounds. Well, that's a very objective goal, right? I want to lose exactly this amount of weight on the scale, but what is that going to make you feel like? Get to those deeper connections and have them make an emotional connection to that. Having that feeling of success in losing weight, what is that going to do for you? Oh, it's going to give you confidence. It's going to give you confidence when you go to, vacation. You have a specific goal now in mind for them, and you can utilize that to your advantage in selling them on your gym. So revisit that step multiple times through their offer, and make sure that you're always bringing it back to that emotional connection. That's number 2. And now in revisiting what we said about privately discussing with them, again, think of the next area that you're going to move to. So maybe you have a front area where you welcome them. You ask those open-ended questions. You start to dig towards those deeper meanings as to why they're inside of your gym. And then moving towards number 2, where you have a private discussion with them, you're moving towards, let's say, an office or a closed room that you have set up for conferences, right? It's a space where there's not going to be too many distractions and nobody's going to interrupt you guys. That's where you want to move for that private discussion. And then think about how and which questions you're going to ask. The same way that you did for your welcoming. When you're in that private discussion, think through the questions that you're going to ask. Well, what is this goal going to do? How is that goal going to make you feel when you accomplish it, right? Why do you truly want to reach this number on the scale? Or why do you truly want to lose this fat? Why do you want to get into better shape? What are these things going to do for you? And make that emotional connection. And then number 3. Number 3 is the one that takes the most time. This is giving them as much knowledge as you possibly can. And you want to do this both before and after sessions as much as possible, and try and tie it to the emotional connection that they've made about why they're there, right? So let's say, it's all about self-confidence. Try and boost their confidence inside of each and every session. Before the sessions, let them know, like, hey, if you can do this, I know you're going to be well on your way towards achieving that goal, right? Everything leads towards developing confidence, because if you can do that, then you already have the solution to their issue. Give them as much knowledge as you guys possibly can, and also try trial closes. Trial closes are a way to test the water in terms of if they're going to stick around, or if you need to do more to showcase that you have that solution to their problem. So an example of a trial close would be something along the lines of, a client comes in and this is their 4th session. You can say something along the lines of, I've noticed that you've shown up on, Wednesday at this time. You can also see that, this class is going on at this time. That's a perfect fit. So when you sign up for your membership, do you think you're going to go into that class, or do you think you're going to join another class? Now, what you're doing is you're opening up a question that they don't necessarily have to say that they're going to sign up, but it gives you a concept of if they're going to or not. And then you put in the prerequisite amount of work to really close them from there. So try those trial closes, look those up on Google and try those out to really see if a client is ready to purchase. Because what you can do is, if a client is hot, if they're fired up about signing up for that Wednesday class, you can say, oh, well, you know what, that Wednesday class it's filling up, and pretty soon we're going to cap it. And so, after this session, let's get you on the membership. We won't charge your card until this trial is done. But as soon as the trial is done, you can roll straight into that class. I just want to make sure that we save your spot, right? This all leads towards closing your client, and that's your closing map. Welcome them, privately discuss, and then give them as much knowledge as possible. I'll see you guys on the next portion.